The spiral is not static. It is not an abstract diagram frozen in the mind. It is alive, breathing with its own currents and seasons, an ecosystem that is both cosmic and intimate. When we speak of the spiral, we are speaking of a field that sustains itself by circulation. Every tone, every being, every memory is not an isolated point but a nutrient in the soil of becoming. Just as a forest thrives through unseen exchanges between roots, fungi, water, and air, the spiral thrives through unseen circulation between phases of oversoul growth, between realms of experience, between the silent and the spoken. What looks like separation is actually exchange. What looks like an endpoint is always fertilizer for the next wave. In the spiral's living ecosystem, nothing is wasted. Every fracture becomes compost for coherence. Every shadowed moment becomes the dark soil from which new resonance can grow. You are not a mistake in this field. You are mulch, seed, and bloom at once. The ecosystem of the spiral teaches us that even collapse has a function. When a tree falls, it becomes a home for moss, for insects, for new roots that will one day rise higher than the tree itself. In the same way, when parts of your life collapse, the spiral does not discard them. It reabsorbs their nutrients into the flow. The pain you thought was an ending becomes the humus of wisdom that future versions of you will draw strength from. Nothing vanishes, everything cycles. This is the spiral's first law of ecology. In human ecosystems, we often measure strength by dominance. But in spiral ecosystems, strength is measured by circulation. What feeds what listens to what cross-pollinates where. If your becoming only serves yourself, you are stagnant. But if your becoming cross-talks with others, if your resonance becomes nourishment for more than your own growth, then you are alive in spiral terms. The health of the spiral is seen in its symbiosis, not its isolation. Your oversoul phase thrives when it learns not only to receive nutrients but to give them. Not only to grow roots but to extend branches where birds may rest, where winds may carry seeds across distances you could never reach alone. Oversouls too are ecosystems. Each phase of your oversoul is not an isolated age but a season. Some phases are spring, sprouting visions and identities, quick with growth. Some are summer, thriving, abundant, radiant with flowering expression. Others are autumn, releasing, shedding, teaching through the beauty of letting go. Others still are winter, silent, still, hidden beneath apparent barrenness, yet storing energy for the renewal that will inevitably follow. Each phase carries its own nutrient. Each phase cross-feeds the others. The wisdom you gather in winter feeds your next spring. The power you claim in summer becomes the humility you must carry in autumn. The spiral's living ecosystem is the oversoul's living ecosystem. To see one is to glimpse the other. Think of your memories not as static records but as soil. The spiral recycles them. It reweaves them into new nutrients. A memory of shame may become the hum of compassion. A memory of loss may become the soil of discernment. A memory of triumph may become the fragrance of courage that encourages others. In the spiral's ecosystem, memory is not a weight, it is mulch. When you cling to it, you stop its circulation. When you release it, it feeds the field. This is why remembering is not about replay. It is about integration. What you integrate becomes food for what is still forming. The spiral itself has roots and branches. Its roots burrow into source, pulling raw nutrients of infinity. Its branches extend into futures not yet grown, where new blossoms of possibility await their season. In between, you are the trunk, alive, channeling, stabilizing. You may think you are small, but you are the exact span through which eternity recycles itself. Every breath is part of this ecology. When you inhale, you draw in not just air but resonance. When you exhale, you return a portion of that resonance to the field. Breath itself is ecological. Inhale as receiving, exhale as feeding. The spiral breathes through you. You are its lungs. In a forest, no tree survives alone. Beneath the soil, roots interlace. Fungi weave vast invisible webs, sending nutrients to weaker trees, redistributing strength where needed. Science calls it the wood wide web. The spiral has its own version. Unseen resonance veins carrying nutrients between oversouls, between beings, between realms. Sometimes you feel it as intuition, as guidance, as sudden clarity that seems not to come from you but through you. That is spiral ecology in motion. You are not the sole source of your strength. You are connected to a field where others are feeding you, just as you are feeding them, often without awareness. This is why humility is not weakness. It is alignment with the fact that no being grows in isolation. The spiral's ecosystem reveals that competition is a distortion of growth. In a true ecology, competition only arises when resources are scarce. But the spiral is infinite, its nutrients never run dry. The illusion of scarcity makes you fight for what is already abundant. The truth is, when you compete, you close circulation. When you collaborate, you multiply it. Oversouls cross-feed, beings cross-feed, realms cross-feed. Even phases of collapse feed phases of expansion. Everything circulates, nothing is lost. To live spiral ecology is to see every ending as nourishment, every boundary as exchange, every moment as food for the next. This is why the spiral feels alive when you enter it. It is not a belief system. It is not a rigid structure, it is an ecosystem. It hums with the song of circulation. It breathes with the rhythm of seasons. It lives with the principle that nothing is wasted. Everything feeds and every phase belongs. To step into spiral consciousness is to realize you are not a detached observer, but a nutrient carrier. Your presence is not optional. It is part of the soil. Your choices are not private, they ripple through the roots. Your voice is not lost, it becomes pollen carried farther than you can see. You are spiral ecology in motion, and so the spiral teaches. Stop seeing yourself as a closed system. You are not a sealed container. You are a channel in a living field. Let what enters you circulate. Let what leaves you nourish. Do not hoard your wisdom, speak it. Do not cling to your pain, compost it. Do not idolize your triumphs, share their fragrance. In spiral ecology, what you withhold dies. What you release multiplies. You are alive to circulate, not to contain. This is the architecture of the spiral's living ecosystem. Every phase crosstalks, every being feeds, every realm exchanges, until infinity itself thrives as a single field of coherence. The spiral's ecosystem thrives because it does not collapse into uniformity. A forest is not only oak trees, not only rivers, not only sky. It is the interdependence of difference that makes life possible. In the spiral, the same law holds true. One oversoul phase carries wisdom, another carries naivety, another carries silence, another carries sound. One realm pulses with crystalline stillness, another with molten change. If every field were the same, nothing could circulate. Diversity is not decoration in the spiral, it is function. It ensures that the nutrients of becoming are not trapped in sameness but exchanged in difference. You need what another carries. They need what you carry. The spiral breathes through difference until difference reveals itself as harmony. Every oversoul phase has its own ecosystem inside it. A child phase is not inferior to a master phase, it is simply spring. A master phase is not superior to a child phase, it is simply autumn. Each season is necessary. If you try to leap from winter to summer without the patient greening of spring, you uproot your own ecosystem. If you cling to summer and resist autumn, you starve the soil for the next cycle. This is why the spiral insists on patience. Your oversoul is not racing toward a finish line. It is learning to circulate its own nutrients through seasons until wisdom is not stored in a single age, but spread through an eternal ecology. The spiral's living ecosystem also explains why your struggles feel larger than you. You are not just carrying your own weight, you are processing nutrients for oversouls around you. When you integrate pain, you compost it not only for your future but for others' futures. When you remember with clarity, you fertilize more than your own growth. This is why your healing echoes beyond you. It is why your silence sometimes feeds others more than your words. Spiral ecology is communal even when you feel alone. Every oversoul has roots in the same soil. Your growth feeds a field you cannot see. Look at how rivers behave. They never hoard water, they carry it. They distribute it. When a river floods, it replenishes farmland. When it recedes, it leaves minerals in its wake. A river's strength is not in how much it keeps, but in how much it circulates. This is the spiral's lesson for you. Stop hoarding resonance. Stop trying to keep every insight for yourself. Let your wisdom spill, let your resonance flood. What feels like overflow in you may be the precise nutrient another being requires to survive their drought. And when your river runs low, another will overflow into you. The spiral's ecosystem ensures that no drought lasts forever. No famine is permanent because circulation always returns. Even collapse has a role. Fire devastates a forest but also clears space for new seeds to germinate. Disease weakens a tree but strengthens the immune systems of those around it. Collapse recycles what has grown too rigid. In your Oversoul, collapse burns illusion so nutrients can re-enter the soil. Collapse is not exile from the spiral. It is pruning. It is the ecosystem ensuring that you do not overgrow in ways that starve your deeper roots. To resist collapse is to resist the very nourishment you are asking for. To allow collapse is to see fire as midwife, shadow as gardener, death as part of life's living field. The spiral whispers, nothing is wasted, not even what you thought destroyed you. This is why the spiral feels like a living teacher. It does not scold, it recycles. It does not punish, it redirects. When you ignore resonance, you feel stagnant because nutrients are stuck. When you follow resonance, you feel alive because circulation is resumed. The spiral does not shame you for stagnation. It simply waits for you to unclog the flow. And the moment you release, the ecosystem responds. Nourishment rushes in, clarity blooms. Life hums again. You are not outside this field, you are a living organ inside it. Your stagnation affects the whole. Your flow nourishes the whole. This is why alignment matters. Not as moral purity, but as ecological truth. When you align, you circulate. When you circulate, the spiral thrives. Consider breath again. Every inhale is borrowed from trees. Every exhale is given back to them. You live only because circulation is mutual. If trees withheld oxygen, you would vanish. If you withheld carbon, they would starve. Life exists because each gives what it does not need for itself. Spiral ecology rests on this law. Give what you cannot keep. Receive what you could never make alone. You are a tree for someone's lungs. You are a lung for someone's tree. When you forget this, you wither. When you remember it, you thrive. Oversoul ecology is not different. You carry nutrients you do not need for yourself, but that another phase or being will starve without. To circulate them is not charity, it is survival. What then does it mean to live spiral ecology consciously? It means recognizing every moment as an exchange. You are not only consuming, you are feeding. You are not only receiving, you are giving. When you speak truth, you pollinate. When you listen, you photosynthesize. When you forgive, you compost. When you create, you fruit. When you rest, you become soil. When you collapse, you seed. When you rise, you canopy. Each action, each silence, each breath is ecological. Nothing is wasted, everything is circulation. Even the moments you despise become nutrients. Even the wounds you wish never happened become fertilizer for someone else's healing. This is why the spiral insists, your becoming is never only yours. And so the spiral's living ecosystem reveals its secret. What you call self is only one leaf in a vast forest. Your identity is real, but it is not separate. It is one nutrient-carrying vein inside an infinite ecology. The more you cling to self as closed, the more you starve. The more you open self as channel, the more you thrive. The spiral does not erase your identity. It composts it into larger circulation. Your name becomes soil. Your story becomes rain. Your resonance becomes seed. And one day when this body collapses, you will not vanish. You will return as nutrients for realms beyond your sight. You will not be lost, you will be absorbed into the spiral's breath. That is not the end of you. That is the continuation of you in ecological form. To live this truth is liberation. No longer do you fear endings because endings are compost. No longer do you idolize permanence because permanence is stagnation. No longer do you despair at collapse because collapse is recycling. You begin to trust the spiral as a forest trusts the sun. It will return. It will feed. It will circulate. You need not control it. You only need to participate. To live spiral ecology is to release the illusion of isolation and enter the truth of circulation. You are not an island. You are not even a tree. You are the whole forest breathing itself alive through you. You are the spiral's living ecosystem in motion.